So Eddie, you actually managed to get to talk to AMMB's Group CEO, Datuk Sulaiman Tahir. So for me, right, among all the banks, AMMB's always been a bit of a mystery, but what's he like to interview?
When he walked into the interview room, he seemed in a pretty good mood, and he started talking right away. It was like I mentioned in the interview as well. He started talking a mile a minute about what the group had been doing so far and what the plans are, and he didn't require a lot of prompting. He had a lot to say, but that sort of indicates the kind of passion he has about transforming the bank, I feel, yeah.
Okay, and he seems to be, I won't say in a hurry, but a mile a minute, he seems to be always on the go. You actually, in your opening line, you say that he can finally catch his breath, but he really can't catch his breath, right? Because he has this top 4 strategy, meaning that he wants Ambank to be like one of the top 4 banks, and it's coming to the end of that plan. Break it down for me. What actually is this top 4 strategy?
First of all, yes, he can't really afford to catch a breath, because remember, this is a CEO who's probably had it tougher than most. On the first day of his job, he already had the letter from Bank Negara slapping the group with a fine, an almost $54 million fine, ringgit fine, because of compliance issues, certain breaches of regulations and all that. And now he's set this top 4 strategy. You're right, it's to be top 4 by certain metrics. He's had to scale down some of those targets because of markets being, the environment not being as great as when he first set out those plans. So in this interview, he talks about what the group has achieved so far. He does seem to have made notable progress on a lot of fronts. The group hasn't made it on certain counts, like say to be top 4 by market capitalization.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But by things like revenue growth, things like growth in ROE, growth in cost to income, the way they've improved on cost to income ratio and everything, they're there.
So good. Certain metrics are where he actually wants them to be, and certain are not. So will the next part of his top 4 or top 4 part 2 be reaching the other metrics? Because one of the things that you pointed out was among the banks, their return on equity is among the lowest, and that's not good, is it?
Yes, they're in the midst of discussing their next 4-year strategy. They haven't come up with a name for it yet, but he did give a hint that the next 4 years is going to be all about pushing on the growth sectors that they had already identified to focus on under top 4. So they've got 4 segments that they're focusing on, SME being one of them, and they've got 4 products that they're focusing on, cards and wealth management being some of them. So the next 4 years is about really pushing that, he says.
That's a good thing
and
to do.
Yes, their ROEs are one of the lowest in town, so the onus is on them to show it to shareholders that they can do better, but it will be an uphill task.
Does he seem to have confidence in his plans?
He has a lot of confidence in his plans, so let's see how he delivers.
Okay, so one of the things that he did point out, and it was a story, was that they want to grow digitally. So I talk about Ambank being a mystery because they are very Malaysian-centric. They haven't gone out as much as the other guys, right? For sure. And now they say, yes, we do want to expand, but we do want to expand digitally. So what does he mean? Just partnerships, not partnerships?
No, they're already in digital banking and all that. They have a digital strategy. But yes, the one thing about one of the hallmarks of the Ambank group is that for the past 40 years or so, they've been very much Malaysia-centric. They've never ventured out into the region. When the bigger banks like Maybank and CIMB went out in the 2000s, they stayed at home. So now he's thinking there could be opportunities, and he's particularly keen on 2 markets, Singapore and Indonesia, and doing it, rather than going brick and mortar and acquisitions and all that. A better way to do it would be through virtual banking. But do they do it on their own? Do they partner up with someone else? Have they already made an application in some of these markets? He says they're in the midst of discussing all this.
I understand that strategy because I recently talked to another bank, and that's what they said. They scaled back branches and they actually set up what they call virtual cities, which basically, I mean, to be fair, when is the last time you and I ever went into a branch? We do a lot of banking.
We do a lot of online banking.
So that's the right way to kind of go. But of course, there's no getting away from the fact that, as you said at the beginning, and I believe this, is that he took on the job under the full glare of the media spotlight. We've been all following this trial. And how does he feel about it? I mean, it's like It's like going to work when the National Enquirer is stalking you. I mean, how does
they're back in the media glare again by virtue of
the trial,
the former Prime Minister's trial relating to SRC.
Yeah.
So some of their former staff is in court testifying, and so that puts Ambank back into
uncomfortable territory.
Attention again. But he says it's business as usual at the bank. People may talk about it, but it's business as usual. And he says, they've put in the work since Bank Negara slapped them with that penalty.
50 million for 54 million ringgit fine.
Exactly.
Right?
So they put in the work, they've improved their processes, they've improved their systems. And so he says things like that shouldn't repeat.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.